Good morning, everybody, and thanks so much for tuning into the trade setup. Now, I'll tell you an interesting statistic while we are talking about redemptions in mid caps, small caps, and I have some thoughts there. But did you know that in 2024, asset management firms in India, mutual funds, one NFO per working day in 2024. This is as per an Equitas newsletter, but they launched 238 NFOs in 2024, raising about 1.18 lakh crores. That's the extent of equity money that has gone into just new fund offers. Now, as Naren has said, the cat amongst the pigeons, and we'll talk about that in a moment as well. But first, let's take stock of what's happening around the world. Dow ended higher, S&P 500 flat after Jerome Powell testimony. What was the testimony? Jerome Powell said policymakers do not need to be in a hurry to adjust interest rates, and yields gyrated, markets gyrated, so on and so forth. Asset management houses admit to redemptions in SMID funds in February. This is an NDTV Profit exclusive. We've spoken to a few asset management companies, and they've said that yes, there are some redemptions, but they have kind of not sounded alarm bells over it. So please bear that in mind. Don't be in a rush to redeem your SMID funds, is what I would say. This is what the world markets did. So flattish, no big cues out there really. Asia must be flattish, really not dramatic moves, I reckon. And our markets too could have a flattish start. 42 is flat really. I don't think there is too much of an anticipation here. The more important thing to see is what's happening at the broader end of the spectrum, because that is where the pain point has been, right? So it's very difficult to call an end to the SMID selling after the latest scare that we've seen. And yesterday, mid cap was down 2.94%, small caps were down 3.5%. This now smacks of some bit of selling from institutions as well. And if redemptions start from retail investors, it's very difficult to rein it back in a day or two. So I would suspect that if the redemptions are real and are there, then we might well see mid caps and small caps be under a lot of pain in the near term as well. But also on the Nifty as well, while we are now at 23,000, which is retesting the earlier lows, RSI indicators or quant indicators are still not pointing to a bottom formation, probably still some time away. So whether it's due to points or time correction, I don't know, but this may not lead to an immediate bounce back, this 23,000 level. That's the point I'm trying to make, unless of course the Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump meeting put some rabbit out of the hat. Metals have been correcting and the derating has happened, but it may not last. Expect a bit of a recovery in a few days, simply because the tariffs don't seem to be pointing towards a major scare for metal stocks. So please bear that in mind. Now, what has happened? MSCI rejig came overnight. Adjustments, of course, are on Feb 28. India's weight now stands at about 19% versus 19.8 back in November. Hyundai, or Hyundai as you pronounce it, but Hyundai, added to the MSCI standard index. Adani Green is out, so expect some bit of kind of pressures, pulls and pressures there. Weightages of the key names that mattered: IndusInd Bank, Torrent Pharma, Varun Beverages, and Mankind. And why do I say these matter? Simply because the weightage increase and the flows relative to the volumes are highest in these, and therefore these are the stocks where you might, if you have to see some movement, you might see some movement today, maybe you will see some movement 27th and 28th of February. So bear that in mind. Now, in line with estimates, numbers came in from stocks like Birlasoft, Berger Paints, and Vodafone. To my mind, all of these three were largely in line. What was below was I think below was sale numbers seemed below estimates. Now, a thumbs up to a few stocks. AstraZeneca, the numbers look solid. Revenues were up 44%, 440 versus 306. Margins at 17.5 versus 4.9. What a blowout set of margins. And net profit up 95% at 31 crores versus 16 crores. So bear this in mind. I'm moving on to office. EID, I'm not completely sure. So, console numbers look solid. Margins look good. Net profit looked good, but that was because of Coromandel. The standalone numbers of EID Parry Sugar division wasn't the best. So I don't know if this would be a thumbs up or a thumbs down, a bit iffy really. What I'm more certain about is Office Space Solutions. Revenues were up 44%. Margins expanded to 33.8 versus 30.6. The company clocked in a profit of 15.1 crores versus a loss of 6.29 crores. Good solid numbers, could do well. Watch out for this one. Gujarat Alkalis also seemed good. Revenues were up 11.8%, but the margin expansion was real, 9.5 versus 0.8%, and therefore the net loss narrowed to 11.23 versus 115.12 crores. So watch out for this one. Could see a bit of a reaction. Let's wait and watch. Difficult to call a very large positive reaction in the SMID stocks these days, keep in mind, because of just the way the index is behaving. Easier to call a thumbs down. Ahluwalia contracts, thumbs down. Revenues down. Margins at 8.9 versus 10.9. Net profit down 30%. Should show a reaction. Bayer crop will certainly show a reaction. Revenues were up 10%, slightly ahead of estimates, but margins came off dramatically. 1.9 versus 13.4. Net profit down 63% at 34 crores. The estimates were 94 crores. A big thumbs down. Bayer will correct. As would Huhtamaki India. Revenues were up 2.5%, but margins 4.2 versus 9.6. Net profit as a result down 96% at 11.69 crores versus 327 crores. Ercon, very weak numbers as well. Revenues were okay, down 10%, not as bad as margin and bottom line. EBITDA margin 377 basis points down, 5% versus 8.81. Net profit down 65% at 86 crores versus 245 crores. Certainly a thumbs down. Couple of stocks which received order wins, just wanted to mark those. HG Infra has received an LOA with a partner, of course, for a project worth 2469 crores. Don't know the share, but good news, might react. BHL certainly should react positively. After that 8,000 crore large order, received another order worth 6,200 crores. Should be positive. Watch out for this one. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup, viewers. Just be careful with your SMID fund redemptions. Not every SMID fund will do badly. Not every SIP in SMID fund will end up badly. S. Naren is right on most counts. On this one, a lot of industry other people are politely refuting that. So pick and choose. And if you are into specific stocks in the SMID space, you need not worry as much, because as long as you know the business of the company, you should be okay.